My entitled team leader insisted I do all his reports because higher UPS shouldn't have to deal with boring tasks. When I refused, he took full credit for my work and laughed. That's just how the corporate ladder works. His confidence shattered when the CEO strolled in, holding a file, saying, "Interesting, this audit shows exactly who did the work. And who's about to be unemployed." I work for a mid-sized tech consulting company based in Austin, Texas. Not one of the huge names, but still enough money flying around that the wrong person in power can make your life miserable if they feel like it. I was hired straight out of college to do data reports and back-end analytics, stuff most people avoid because it's too boring. That was fine with me. I liked the work. Numbers didn't lie. People did. My team leader, Mike, had been there for 6 years. He wasn't that old, maybe mid-30s. But he talked to everyone like he was their dad or their boss or something more important than he actually was. The guy was smooth, always joking around with upper management, laughing a little too loudly in meetings, always making sure to throw in buzzwords like synergy and pipeline. He wore dress shirts 2 sizes too tight to show off muscles he probably stopped working on 3 years ago. That type. At first, I stayed out of his way. I figured, dear job, go home. But then he started dumping reports on me that weren't mine. At first it was subtle. A quick Slack message, "Hey, can you finish this? I've got to prep for a call with Jeff, our director. Shouldn't take long." I didn't care. I knocked it out. Then it started happening every day. "Can you handle the monthly summary? You're faster with Excel than I am." "I'm heading out early for a client dinner. Can you finish these last 2 reports?" And like an idiot, I said yes every time. Until one Friday, I was in the break room and I overheard Mike talking to someone from another team. He was laughing. "No, I don't touch any of those reports anymore. I have the new guy do it. He's good, and honestly, that crap is beneath me now. Higher-ups shouldn't waste time on boring tasks. That's what junior analysts are for." That stung. Not because I was doing the grunt work, I knew what my job was. But because he was acting like I wasn't even a person. Just some machine that spit out numbers for him to slap his name on. The final straw was a company-wide Zoom meeting the following Monday. It was the quarterly update. The CEO was on the call. She's sharp, ex-military, intense, the kind of person who looks like she can read your thoughts through your webcam. Mike got asked to walk through the last quarter's analytics. "Thanks, and," he said with that stupid smile. "This past quarter's data reflects a strong upward trend, especially in the Western region." I put together these visualizations to give better clarity. He shared a screen. It was my report. My formatting. My formulas. I had even caught a massive inconsistency in the data input last month that would have wrecked the whole thing if I hadn't fixed it. He never even looked at it. And nodded. "Good work. Can you also walk us through the audit notes and variance explanations?" Mike blinked. Right, so, the variance in Q2." He paused. His smile twitched. Then he started bullshitting numbers. Wrong numbers. I could tell he had no idea what he was saying. But he was confident. That's the thing about guys like him. They lie with their whole chest. And narrowed her eyes but didn't say anything then. The next day, I came into work and found an email from her assistant. She wanted a one-on-one with me. Not Mike. Me. I was nervous as hell. Thought maybe I was in trouble somehow. But when I got on the call and didn't waste time. "I'm doing a deeper dive on last quarter's reports," she said. "Your name appears on most of the document history metadata. You mind explaining what's going on?" So I told her. Everything. I didn't exaggerate or get emotional. I just walked her through the emails, Slack messages, timestamps, saved versions of reports. I had receipts. She nodded through all of it. "I thought so," she said finally. "One more thing." She pulled up a file. It was a full audit of internal document authorship, metadata, IP logs, login histories. Apparently, IT had set up passive tracking last year after a plagiarism scandal in another department. "Your name's all over the back-end logs," she said. Mike's is not. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, Anne's been quiet. Mike's been extra chipper around the office. Still cocky, still making comments about paying your dues and corporate loyalty. But something's off. HR pulled me into a meeting last Friday. Told me they were reviewing team structures and I might be reporting directly to a senior data analyst moving forward. I didn't say anything to Mike. But this morning, something happened. I got to work. Mike was standing near the elevator, pale, sweating through his shirt. In his hand was a red folder. And walked out of the elevator, looked him straight in the eyes, and said, "Interesting. This audit shows exactly who did the work and who's about to be unemployed." That's where I'll leave it for now. I haven't seen Mike since lunch. No one has. But I still have the folder. And I still have my job. For now. After that elevator moment, word spread fast. People didn't say much, but everyone knew something was up. You could feel it in the air. The usual office hum, keyboards clicking, quiet talking, the occasional fake laugh, got real quiet. Nobody asked me what happened, but they looked at me different. Some nodded. A few even smiled like they'd been waiting for Mike to get what was coming. But here's where it gets messy. Later that week, HR called me in again. I thought maybe it was to wrap up whatever was happening with Mike. Instead, they hit me with a surprise. "We're temporarily reassigning you to the product analysis team," the HR rep said. Her voice was calm, too calm. "It's an opportunity for growth." Opportunity, my ass. That team was chaos. Their last 2 analysts had quit in less than 3 months. They had no real manager, just a rotating set of project leads who changed depending on who yelled the loudest that week. It was where careers went to die. I asked if this was a punishment. She just smiled and said, "This is an internal restructuring. Nothing personal." But it felt personal. Especially when I found out Mike wasn't fired. Not yet. Turns out he didn't go home after that elevator incident. He went straight to legal. And now he was claiming I stole his intellectual property. That I was using his templates, his analytics methods. That I had been trying to undermine him the whole time. He spun it like he had been mentoring me, and I got too ambitious. And wasn't buying it, not fully. But corporate has rules. And legal reviews take time. So until then, they reassigned both of us, me to product analysis and Mike to an internal strategy role that basically meant sitting in a different office doing God knows what. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. In product analysis, I met Tara. She was sharp, overworked, and suspicious of me from the start. I couldn't blame her. New guy gets dumped into her department mid-quarter, no explanation, no training, just handed a bunch of reports with urgent labels. She thought I was a plant, some golden child from the CEO's pet team sent in to watch them. I tried to keep my head down and do the work, but something didn't add up. Their data was a mess. Numbers were inconsistent. Reports were half complete. But buried inside one report, I found a weird pattern. One vendor's numbers didn't make sense. The same client was billed twice. Same date, same job ID. 2 invoices. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Then I found another one. Then 5 more. I flagged it, sent it to Tara. She didn't reply. A day later, my access to the invoice database was restricted. Then someone tried to change the permissions on one of my reports. Luckily, I had version history turned on. I traced the change back to Mike's login. He wasn't gone. He was watching. And he had friends. This wasn't just some dumb power move anymore. This felt deeper. I didn't say anything. I waited, collected everything. Timestamps, metadata, Slack screenshots. Even printed a few things out and kept them at home. Then last Friday and called again. "We need to talk," she said. Not in her office. Not on Zoom. At a diner. 7 a.m. She showed up in jeans and a hoodie, no makeup, hair pulled back. Still looked like she could fire half the state and sleep like a baby. She slid into the booth and got straight to it. "Tell me everything you found." I did. Quietly. Carefully. When I was done, she didn't speak for a full minute. Just sipped her coffee and stared at the table like she was doing math in her head. Finally, she said, "Mike didn't act alone. And this goes higher than I thought." Then she slid a flash drive across the table. Open it when you're alone. Use a personal laptop, not company. I took it, nodded, said nothing. Now I'm sitting in my apartment, staring at the flash drive. I know whatever's on it is going to change everything. But I also know once I open it, there's no going back. I opened the flash drive that night. No dramatic music. No flashing lights. Just a folder labeled backup_data_contract breach. Inside were files. Hundreds. Emails. Excel sheets. PDFs. Call transcripts. Even recorded Zoom meetings. I didn't understand most of it at first. But after a few hours, the pattern became clear. This wasn't about me or Mike anymore. This was about money. Real money. Turns out, several projects we'd been reporting on weren't just running over budget, they were never real projects to begin with. The client names were fake, the invoice IDs recycled, the budgets inflated. And someone had signed off on all of them. I recognized some of the signatures. Not just Mike's. One of them belonged to the CFO, Alan Wu. I always thought Alan was kind of quiet for a CFO. Didn't attend most meetings. Barely spoke when he did. But his name was on at least 6 fake project approvals. And the payments had been routed through a vendor named Brightwell Dynamics. Brightwell didn't exist. I Googled, reverse searched addresses, even checked state business registrations. Nothing. Then I dug into the call transcripts and had on the flash drive. That's when I found it, a call between Mike and someone using a voice modulator. The audio wasn't great, but it was clear enough. Mike, everything's set. I moved the reports. The new guy doesn't know what he's sitting on. We pin it on him, kill the audit, and it all disappears. Voice, make sure the trail leads back to him. If we go down, he goes first. They were trying to frame me. That's why they didn't fire Mike. That's why I got dumped into product analysis. They were setting up a fall guy. Me. I stared at my laptop for a long time. Hands cold. Heart pounding. And knew. That's why she gave me the flash drive. She couldn't trust anyone else. But there was one more twist I didn't see coming. The next morning, I got a call. Unknown number. I almost didn't pick up. Don't go to work today, the voice said. It was Tara. She sounded scared. They know you have something. I saw your name on a list this morning. Alan was talking to HR. They're trying to get your system access pulled. Once they do, they'll lock you out, scrub your profile, and pin the invoices on your ID. She hung up before I could ask anything. I looked outside. Nothing unusual. Just the usual traffic. I emailed and from a burner account. Told her what Tara said. She replied within 5 minutes. Meet me. Don't bring your laptop. Leave your phone. I did what she said. She picked me up in an old beat-up truck. Said it used to belong to her brother. No GPS, no digital anything. We drove out of the city. Into the hills. Pulled into a rundown cabin that looked like it hadn't been touched in years. And didn't waste time. I'm giving this to the feds, she said. But we need to buy time. They'll go into lockdown mode the second they catch wind. Why me? I asked. She looked at me, dead serious. Because they underestimated you. They thought you were just a junior analyst with no backbone. And now they think they can pin it all on you. That makes you the most dangerous person in the company. I didn't know what to say. I need you to stay low for 48 hours, she said. No calls. No emails. Let me handle the handoff. I agreed. What else could I do? But while we were talking, I noticed her laptop open on the table. On it was a live feed from inside the office, and had remote access to the company's security system. On the screen, I saw Mike. He was standing in my cubicle, digging through my drawers. He found my notebook. The one I used to jot down reference codes, timestamps, and weird notes. It wasn't encrypted. Just pen and paper. I'd left it there because I never thought he'd go looking. He smiled, slid it into his jacket pocket, and walked out. I stared at the screen, fists clenched, and said nothing. Just reached over, opened another window. It showed a list of network activity. Someone was trying to access the flash drive's contents remotely. I thought you said it wasn't on the network, I said. It isn't, she replied. But someone's mirroring your hard drive. Mike had planted malware on my work laptop. They knew I had the flash drive. Now they wanted to know how much I knew. We shut the laptop and stood up. It's worse than I thought. They're not just framing you. They're covering up millions. Maybe more. I sat down, heart thudding. And for the first time since this started, I realized something else. I wasn't just a target anymore. I was a threat. And had contacts. Real ones. Not corporate security, not some shady private firm. Actual federal agents. Turns out she'd been feeding information to the Office of Inspector General for months. She suspected corruption inside the company but didn't know how deep it went. That flash drive she gave me? It was the final piece she needed. The smoking gun. She left the cabin at dawn. Told me to stay. Promised it would all come to a head within the next 24 hours. She kept her word. At 9:14 a.m., federal agents raided the office. I saw it happen from the security feed she left running. Black SUVs pulling up. Men and women in dark jackets swarming the entrance. Inside, chaos. Phones dropped. People ran. Some just froze. I watched Mike try to sneak out the back stairwell with the laptop and the notebook he stole from my desk. 2 agents stopped him before he hit the 3rd floor. And texted me one word. Safe. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. But here's where the story twists one last time. I was called in a week later to give a statement. A full one. And was there, and so was the lead investigator. They asked me to walk them through everything, how the reports were built, how the invoices were traced, what I found in product analysis. I told the truth. Then they showed me something I hadn't seen. They slid a file across the table. Inside were records of every change I'd made to the reporting system, including one from 6 months ago where I'd accidentally approved a dummy invoice. I didn't remember doing it. I might have been rushing, staying late, trying to clear a backlog Mike dumped on me. But my credentials were used. My signature was logged. Looks like a mistake, the agent said. But technically, it makes you part of the fraud trail. My stomach dropped. And looked away. We're not pressing charges, the agent said. You're a whistleblower, and this proves intent wasn't malicious. But it's going to be in the report. I nodded. Couldn't say anything. Mike, Allen, and 2 other executives were arrested. Full-on perp walk, cameras, news stories, headlines. The fake clients, the vendor scams, the redirected funds, it was all tied to a shell company they created years ago. And evidence showed they'd siphoned over $6 million in total. They'll serve time. Lots of it. But I didn't walk away clean either. The company folded 3 weeks after the raid. Investors pulled out. Clients panicked. HR tried to offer severance, but the legal freeze locked up all assets. I never got paid for my last month. My name was cleared, but not my record. No matter how hard I tried to explain the one mistake, the new companies I interviewed with hesitated. You're talented, one recruiter told me. But your name's in a federal report. That's a risk. And got a consulting job with a risk assessment firm in DC. She offered to help me get work. I said thanks, but no. Because here's the truth. I helped build those reports. Even if I didn't know what they were being used for, I was the one making them look clean. I let Mike use me. I let fear and ambition keep me quiet for too long. I knew something was off months ago, but I didn't speak up until it hit me directly. That's on me. I moved back home to Kansas City. Got a job at a small analytics startup. Less money. Smaller office. No suits, no fake smiles, no synergy. Just honest work. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if and hadn't stepped in. If Tara hadn't warned me. If I hadn't opened that flash drive. Mike thought he could hide behind lies and titles. That if he laughed loud enough, nobody would look too closely. He was wrong. I made mistakes. But I learned how to see through people like him. And the next time someone tries to climb the ladder by stepping on me, they'd better pray I don't have a flash drive. Because this time, I'll burn the whole building down before I let it happen again.